The individual that we have arrested and will be charged with this, his name is Colt Gray. As has been released, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center has received anonymous tips in the past of online threats to commit school violence or school shootings.
I was crying. I was shaking, and I just didn't know where my mind was. I was just so scared.
The FBI referred this information to the Jackson County Sheriff Office for action. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office identified and located Gray, who is our suspect in this case. Let me start by saying that there's no evidence to report that any additional shooter was involved in this incident today. Investigators are actively pursuing, however, any leads of any potential associates of the shooter that was involved in this incident. So I say that to say we're following up any potential leads through the investigation to ensure if there are any associates involved in this that we find them, we identify them. So that's part of, again, the ongoing investigation. There is no evidence of a list of schools being targeted. However, there is a lot of evidence that is being recovered and evaluated. We're going through everything to determine if there is any active threats to any schools in this area, this county, and the state of Georgia. And we will continue to monitor that throughout this investigation, throughout the evening as we carry on. There was a call, as we're aware of, to a local high school as well this morning with a reported threat. Police responded and investigated and determined that there was no threat after all. There's been reports that a Colt Gray, who is another student here at the school, was involved, or that Colt Gray was involved in this. If you recall from a previous press conference earlier this afternoon, the individual that we have arrested and will be charged with this, his name is Colt Gray. But there is another student here at the school with a very similar name. We want to ensure everyone that Colt Gray is not involved in this incident. That is the name that I provided you earlier this afternoon. So those reports were inaccurate, if that was passed on to you. I do, however, want to identify the victims of this incident today, those that lost their life in this tragic event. Mason Schermerhorn, age 14, who is a student here at the school. Christian Angelo, who is 14, also a student here at the school. Richard Aspinwall, I'm not sure of his age, but he was a teacher here at the school. And Christina Irmery, I'm sorry for my pronunciation, who is also a teacher here at the school. We will post a list of these victims for the correct spellings for everyone later this evening after we complete the press conference here. Also, as has been released, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center has received anonymous tips in the past of online threats to commit school violence or school shootings at an undetermined location and time. The FBI referred this information to the Jackson County Sheriff Office for action. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office identified and located Gray, who is our suspect in this case. They conducted an investigation at that time, and there was no probable cause for arrest or to take any additional law enforcement action. This is not recent, this is in the past, but we wanted to bring that to your attention because we are pursuing that, working with the FBI on that, and any connection to that incident that could be connected to today's incident as well. Also, we're also aware of some previous contacts that the Department of Family and Children Services in the area had with the suspect and his family, and we are pursuing that avenue as well too, to see if that has any connection with today's incident.
And all of us, including me, I was crying, I was shaking, and I just didn't know where my mind was. I was just so scared. But yeah, a lot of us were just crying. All you hear is crying. All you hear is like the sirens from outside. So it made us even more scared because we were like, oh, it's real, it's real. We didn't know how to react. We were waiting in there for like a good 30 minutes, maybe close to an hour. But as soon as they started clearing out students, just a group of police just coming, making sure we're okay, and then letting us evacuate. And once we got outside, just the feeling we got from relief that we're okay, and yeah, and we got to get to our parents.
Yeah,
Really
and
sad.
it took us a while before we realized that she wasn't one of the victims. I mean, it was what, a good 45 minutes,
Hour.
probably hour before we got word that she was okay. It was very terrifying. It's the least thing you expect to happen around here of all places. We just came back from a long weekend vacation with the whole family, and to come back to this the first day back,
Just terrible.
just hard to grasp.
I don't know how to explain the feelings. I mean, the fear. I have two children that go to Heyman Morris, which borders this school, and so first thing was immediately calling the schools. Then the text messages and stuff started coming through from the schools. Terror, absolute terror. We have kids in a lot of the schools, and we've also got two in elementary school at Austin Road. We've already been there. They won't release them. I had to walk a mile to get up here, and they won't release the kids from the middle school. And so unnerving, scary, just wow.
I do want to say a few words about this tragic shooting that took place this morning in Winder, Georgia. We're still gathering information about what happened, but we know that there were multiple fatalities and injuries. And, our hearts are with all the students, the teachers, and their families, of course. And we are grateful to the first responders and the law enforcement that were on the scene. But this is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is, we've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. So we will continue, of course, to send our prayers and our thoughts to the families and all those who were affected.
The awful high school shooting. We will continue to work with local officials, and we stand ready to work with law enforcement on the ground. It is a horrific day, a sad day when kids go to school and have to deal with that type of violence. And that is something that is in the president's statement. He talks about how it's personal to him. Obviously, he and the First Lady, certainly Dr. Biden, are mourning the deaths of those whose lives were cut too short. These are high school kids. And so we certainly will be thinking of them, but we want to continue to do the work on gun violence, obviously not just in Georgia, but across the country. And the president, this is a president, an administration, the Biden-Harris administration, who has put that at the forefront and want to continue to see that done. And as I said at the end of my topper earlier, is that enough is enough, and congressional members need to act. They need to act.